Counter-Strike gets a big update.
And Monte Cristo parts ways with CLG.
I'm John Reisinger, and joining me as always is the Pink Ranger Meg Turney and our Alpha 5, the Daily Dots Jared Wynne.
Christopher Monte Cristo Michaels and Counterlogic Gaming have parted ways. Michaels presided over CLG's Korean boot camp, which ultimately proved unsuccessful. In August, CLG were knocked out of the LCS playoffs by underdog Curse.
Michaels works as a commentator in Korea and had to coach the players remotely via Skype. Michaels said in a statement on the team's website, it became increasingly clear that the organization requires an in-house coach and that I could not fulfill the needs of the players as long as I pursued my work in casting.
Which to me sounds like, I want to be a star. I can't coach you guys, I gotta go to Hollywood.
The spotlight's calling me.
Nope, all right. Meanwhile, Nikolai Incarnation Jensen has found himself at the center of a controversy again. Thanks in part to Jensen's help, SK Gaming placed third in the European LCS, earning the team a spot at the World Championship. But Jensen won't be following his team to Korea because Riot has banned him. The reason for the move goes back to 2013. He received a permanent ban as a player for abusive behavior and poor sportsmanship. At the time, most agreed that the punishment was deserved.
Now, that ban did not apply to coaching, however, and coaches weren't even officially recognized by Riot at the time. So Jensen was able to continue working with SK as a coach. So what changed? Well, now Riot's saying it does officially recognize coaches, and as a result, Jensen's ban transfers over, which means no trip to Worlds for him.
It sounds so personal. Like,
specifically changing rules for that one person.
Oh, you're a coach now? Yeah, we don't like coaches now either. Banned. Jared, do you feel like it was a fair decision? Is there anything you feel like may be personally driven?
I think it's kind of fair. It depends on the perspective you're taking. He got banned for acting like a prick, so he probably should remain banned. Should he be banned now, though? The timing of it is strange because he's a coach of SK Gaming. They just qualified for the World Championship, and now he's banned. So it hurts the players at SK Gaming. They didn't do anything to deserve this. I think the timing of it is really bad, as a matter of fact. He should probably be banned since he was banned in the first place. You shouldn't be able to just take on a position that wasn't covered by the original rules, and now you're not banned anymore. It doesn't change what you did to start with.
But is there something they could have done to rectify that before hurting the players by banning him later on?
They could have banned him earlier. They could have just told him to get out of here. We don't want you anymore. Be gone. You know, you act like a prick, and now you're gone. But instead they waited for SK Gaming to qualify for Worlds, so now they have to do this thing without a coach in place. It's a tough situation for the players involved. That's really my concern here.
It's almost like they took the matter into their own hands by risking being him any part of the team at all. So they kind of put themselves in that category a little bit, right?
I don't know. Like, should a coach really, like, I understand not being able to play because you were a prick, but a coach isn't playing. Like, he's just giving his advice. Like, would they ban him from being a consultant for the team as well?
Like, is he a big presence during the actual competition?
Well, he does have a significant influence on the team. Coaches in League of Legends are sometimes highly paid, and there's reason for that. I would say that, though, he wasn't banned because he's a really boorish player. He was banned for his attitude, for his potential actions. So it's not like having him compete in ways other than playing directly in the game makes it okay. If you're acting like he was, you are going to be put away from the game regardless of your position in the game.
Yeah, I guess if there's loopholes, people will find it. The dominance of Chinese teams was the biggest story this year in Dota 2. This culminated at the International, where 3 of the top 4 placing teams were Chinese. But just when many fans were growing concerned that Chinese teams were overpowering their Western rivals, the World Esports Championships came along. Played in China over the weekend, WC featured the biggest Dota 2 tournament since the International in July. And it was a pair of Western teams who would make the final.
Evil Geniuses and Cloud9 stormed through the competition regardless of nationality before meeting in the finals, which Evil Geniuses won by winning 2 straight sets. Now, Jared, people were so worried that Chinese teams were dominating. Does this win for a Western team, does that shift how we feel like the scene is going?
It probably shifts how some people feel because people get too excited about the results of one event or even one series of events. I think it just shows that Evil Geniuses is a really strong team. Potentially, they could be the best team in the world. I don't know if they are right now, but they definitely have the potential to be. And Cloud9 is still a contending team. It also shows there's still a lot of parity in the world at large. And we saw at the International even, in the round-robin stage, the Chinese teams were not dominant. They've traded a lot of games with their Western opponents, so it's not a big surprise to me. I think just people tend to get too caught up in the fact that, for example, Chinese teams played the final at the International, so I guess they're the dominant teams now. There's really strong teams in China, but there's also really strong teams outside of China.
Yeah, so there's not so much a trend one way or the other. It's just there's good teams in both areas.
I think we are seeing a trend towards some of the best teams being in China. It is probably the strongest region in Dota 2 today, but that doesn't mean that all the best teams are there or that teams from outside of China can't compete with them, as we've seen here.
Right.
Very cool. After nearly a week, sorry, I just cut you off. That was weird. After nearly a week of rumor and speculation, you're great. No one cares about you. All right, Evil
Love
Geniuses. Evil Geniuses is finally replacing Damon Karma Barlow. Yep, you're on camera. On their famous Call of Duty team. He'll be loaned out to FaZe, which in turn is sending Kenneth Dito to Evil Geniuses. Call him Dido.
Last week we reported on the public spat between Barlow and Evil Geniuses. Barlow felt he was getting kicked off the roster for attending the birth of his daughter. They supposedly patched things up on a personal level, but obviously not enough to keep Barlow playing on the best ever Call of Duty team. Still, he has only been loaned, not traded, so maybe there's a chance we'll see him suit up for EG again.
I just don't understand. If you patch things up, like, what else do you have to patch up? If you're friends again, why not just keep playing for Evil Geniuses? Jared, do you think that this will be permanent?
I think he got his feelings hurt. What it comes down to, and that is not a small deal. Sometimes these guys spend a lot of time with each other. They don't just show up to tournaments and they play and like, hey, see you next time. You spend a lot of time hanging out with your teammates. They're your teammates, so it's understandable that if he feels like the birth of his child was overlooked in favor of competing somewhere, that he would be a little bit upset about it.
Just because they're on okay terms now doesn't mean he has to spend every waking day, being on a team with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. A big update recently hit for Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Changes include a price of a popular secondary weapon, the CZ75, being raised, along with some structural changes to one of the game's maps, Cobblestone. Cobblestone is one of 2 maps Valve introduced to the competitive scene on short notice, which kind of pissed off some of the pro players. The map has since been widely accepted by players and fans as they try to adapt.
Okay, so Jared, walk us through what sort of impact does this have on the Counter-Strike scene? Well,
the change to Cobblestone just makes it so that the attacking team has a better shot at controlling the map. Cobblestone has been a very defensive map since it was introduced. The original version, which was in the original version of Counter-Strike, was also a defensive map, and Valve wants to make it a bit more even. So they opened up a new pathway that will allow the offensive team to, when they take control of the map's biggest choke point, have access to both of the 2 bomb sites with the two objectives on the map.
So it wasn't a change just for the sake of change. It was a change to even things out, make the map work better.
Yeah, it was time for a change, and Valve brought it.
Exactly.
Right, are you politically campaigning for them now?
No.
Vote for Valve.
Not yet.
So what about the change in price for the CZ75?
Well, the CZ75 is a secondary weapon, which is very powerful. In Counter-Strike, the economy is a big part of the game.
Right.
So when you win rounds, when you complete objectives, when you do good things, you get money. When you do bad things, you don't get as much money. And that money is used to buy equipment. The CZ75 is a secondary weapon which is very cheap and made it so that teams who had an economic disadvantage were able to play more evenly with teams who had bought a full set of equipment. That kind of ruins the point of having the game economy as it exists. I do think it's a good idea for teams who are not able to buy a full set of equipment to still be able to compete with their opponents, but maybe not to the degree that the CZ75 allowed. They also lowered the accuracy of it earlier in the summer, so I think these changes combined will make it a little more fair.
So what does this mean when a developer comes out with these changes in what some people consider the middle of the season for competitive gaming?
Well, it's hard to have a middle of the season change when there's no off season.
Gotcha.
The season kind of blurs together. It is maybe a conflict of interest because the developer of a game isn't necessarily trying to make the game as good as it can be. They're trying to make money.
Right.
When Blizzard switched over from StarCraft 1 or StarCraft Brood War, if you prefer, to StarCraft 2, it wasn't because they thought StarCraft 2 was just so much better a game. It was because they wanted everyone to pay for StarCraft 2.
Yeah.
So there's a big conflict there. I don't know if it's a good thing, but it's also it's a tough situation to get around. How do you take the right to change the game away from the developer of the game?
Right.
You don't.
Because in the end, they're just trying to sell the game to everybody, not just to competitive gamers or make them happy.
John, they got to make that money.
They got to make that money.
You're right.
I said that.
Blizzard has announced a major change to its worldwide StarCraft 2 competition, the World Championship Series, and the ramifications will be huge. Here's what it boils down to. If you want to qualify to compete from the Americas region, you'll need to be a legal resident of one, for example, the United States or Canada. Likewise, if you want to qualify out of Europe, you'll need to be a resident of a European country.
The point of the WCS is to draw the best players in the world through a set of regional qualifiers. But here's the problem. Most of the world's best players are Korean. So in the past few years, more and more Koreans have gone abroad to qualify, hoping for a better shot of attending the WCS finals. So the best Korean players weren't just qualifying out of Korea, they were qualifying out of everywhere. Blizzard's new rules are designed to put a stop to that.
But Blizzard wasn't the only company making moves to cut down on foreign players jumping from one region to another. On Friday, Riot announced that only 2 foreign players were allowed on rosters for any of its sanctioned events. In other words, you can't have an entire team of Koreans move to the US and play in the North American LCS.
Now that decision has already thrown a wrench in the plans of some players. Korean League stars Madlife, Shy, and Ryu were reportedly considering forming a team in the US. And Samsung's esports branch has reportedly planned to bring a new arm of its successful franchise to Europe.
Okay, so Jared, let's talk about Blizzard and WCS. What does this mean for everybody coming up in the next year?
I think what Blizzard is trying to do is make it so that the best Korean players can't win all the tournaments everywhere, which is, I guess, a decent idea, potentially. They want people from America to be able to win American tournaments, people from Europe to be able to win European tournaments. So that's the point of that decision.
Does it favor them to not make it so all the Koreans win? Is there some sort of advantage, for them, Blizzard? Does it help them somehow?
Well, they want to preserve American players having a chance to qualify through the American qualifier. They want people who are fans of American players and teams to be able to follow their teams and players. It does create some interesting situations, though, because we're talking about legal residence. It's not about just not being American or Norwegian or whatever. It's about being a legal resident. So, for example, there's a Korean player named Polt who's very good, who's a student at the University of Texas. He's a legal resident of the United States because of his student status, so he'll be able to continue playing here in the United States and qualifying.
Basically, as long as they literally didn't just come here just to play for the team, they came here for another reason. They can compete for that team.
That's true. Yeah, but my point is that Polt now has a much easier road through the American qualifier because he doesn't have to contend with a bunch of Korean opponents. He only has to contend with Americans and Canadians and such, mostly Canadians because they're the better players here.
Wait, so does a visa apply? Because being on a student visa isn't the same as being a legal resident. You have to have a green card to be.
Well, it sounds like you're probably touching on what's going to happen is that they're just going to figure out loopholes of how to figure this out.
It is incredibly difficult, though, to come to the U.S. for any reason. If you're a student visa is fairly easy, but to work in the U.S., it's very, very difficult. So they're going to find a lot of challenge in getting here if they would just want to.
Yeah, it's hard. Decades ago, this is a personal issue for me actually, and I'm going to try to remain composed here. But my grandparents came to the United States to play StarCraft 2, and it was really hard for them. They spent many years.
So if you're like a legacy of a StarCraft family.
Yeah. I have a certificate in my room and stuff like that. It's really kind of sad actually, and I prefer you didn't laugh at it.
I'm sorry.
It's a moving story. It really is.
Yeah, thank you, John.
I'm here for you.
Thank you, John, for being understanding.
Ready. Thank you. I appreciate your. I'm sorry, I can't do it. This is a great joke. It's a good joke. It should be laughed at. I'm sorry. That's it for this edition of the Know It All Leaderboard. Please don't hurt me. Keep an eye out for the Know It All, where we give the best news of the week and one shot on the Rooster Teeth channel.